This is the Air Center Criterium A group. We're on board with TrainerRoad's Jonathan Lee. How's it going, John?
Great, Ivy. Excited to do this with you. Have you, a crit expert, break down my performance.
Yeah. First race back in a while, right? And
nothing's changed.
First spicy lap. Yeah. What's going on here? What's your plan in this first lap? What's happening?
Well, my plan in the race, I hadn't raced. This is my first crit since Tulsa Tough, so about a year. And I was completely unaware of where my fitness would be because I also hadn't really trained in almost a month and a half. So because of a shoulder injury. So really, I was just like, I hope that I can stay with the group. And I know that it seems like a silly idea, then why would you go hard from the gun? And no, it doesn't make sense. But typically, there are two riders that almost always go hard from the gun. And I thought they were going to go hard from the gun. I figured I wouldn't be alone. But then I found myself alone. And then I was like, hey, they said it was a $20 preem anyway. So I guess I'll just stick it for the first lap. And I'll make sure I don't go too deep and I'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, this is a great strategy.
Probably not.
I'm serious. Like, no, it's great if you know yourself and know what you're capable of. Especially when it's your first race back in a long time. I think there's like something mentally advantageous to riding in a zone that feels comfortable to you, and feeling like you're on the forefront of the race versus starting in the back foot and feeling like you're responsive for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I guess that actually probably speaks to it. I was nervous because I didn't know what my fitness would be like and where I would fit in the field. So this is probably insecurity manifesting itself by trying to take control in the race, right? And I had done 2 short tracks, I think the 2 weeks prior to this. And I knew that those started really hard. And for about 40 minutes, I was able to hold above 300 watts normalized power. And for the first lap or so, it was like 600. So I figured, hey, if I can do that, this is within myself.
Totally. Staying below 300 and not burning a big match to do this and mentally kind of prepare yourself for what's about to happen in the race. Huge advantage. This was a great plan.
Yeah, and for me, that once oh boy, this is a scary part. These riders were in the previous category, and they should have been cooling down on the outside of the course, not the inside. I was telling them where I was at, but it didn't really compute. Race brains happened. But the other thing I was going to say is that my FTP roughly is around like 309. I think it was 309 watts according to AI FTP detection before this race. So that's where my FTP is. Hence why we're saying 300 watts isn't like breaking my bank because it's underneath. So
totally. More stats. Tell us about the course, the wind.
Yes.
How that impacted how you're riding it.
Where we're riding right now, the wind is coming from the left to the right. So from the sun is a good way to remember it with this course. And it's pretty strong. It's always a crosswind. And then right through here, it's kind of doesn't really shift to a crosstail until you get partway through this turn. Hardly any turns. You've all seen this course probably on a race analysis before. And if you're new to this, there's tons of races on it. You basically end up just racing the field and the wind because the course is really simple.
All right, John, so race is heating up, attacks are starting to fly. How are you trying to follow these moves or not? What's your plan?
Yeah, so I don't really want to be the first to respond, and I'm trying to let people fill in where I can. I'm also really nervous about like a break or a split opening up. I still I struggle with that years later into racing. Ivy, do you have any tips for that when you should let riders fill in front of you and chase that move, or you should be the one that ends up doing it?
Oh yeah, the insecurity never goes away. You either burn a match and be the person that closes that gap, or you roll the dice and hope that someone does it for you, and then you end up missing out.
Or this happens, and the field slows up, and you can just carry momentum and avoid another acceleration.
And this is a great example of how you can follow moves with efficiency and use the momentum that you have to kind of create those gaps via using momentum and efficiency. So let's go back a little bit and see what's happening here. So John, let's go back here. There's a couple riders off the front, and you really will anticipate the reset. It's coming back together, and this is a great example of using your momentum with the wind and with the speed you're already carrying to anticipate the next move.
Yeah, thanks, Ivy. An attack just went, so it was super tempting to just like sit up, right? And to sit up and then just let them and just sit in line. But instead I thought, hey, I have momentum. I can just roll to the front and then gain a few positions and then hopefully be in the draft. They're riding pretty hard here, but everybody else that slowed down more probably had to accelerate more than I did.
Totally. So to recap, just because a move has come back doesn't mean it's time to sit up. You have to use your momentum to anticipate the next move, and you did that really well here. Okay, moving forward, John, you are on the front foot later in the race, but here's an example of when you didn't do a deliberate attack and just kind of used the momentum and speed you already had to put some pressure on the field. Can you talk about this?
Yeah, so I'm guttering it to try to not let anybody echelon and get some wind on me. So you can see that it's making it so that riders are having to go single file or change their position. But this is like what I call like the diesel roll, where I'm just on the front and then I pick it up to the point where it doesn't really, it's not like a full attack, but it just strings things out. And I did this because the race was single file. But looking back, I should have just actually done a proper attack instead of a diesel roll, I feel like, because in the end, it doesn't actually cause any meaningful impact. Even though it looks like the field's far behind us right now, that's just the GoPro effect. They're pretty close and they catch us pretty soon. What do you think, Ivy?
Right. And going back to when this happened, you know, you're already moving pretty quickly when this rider pulls off and makes space for you. And you have the speed and momentum on your side to just keep it going. And only one rider's on you. You can't really know that, but you've already strung it out. And that's hard to know when to commit and actually really give her and throw an attack down, or just try to put pressure on the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What would you, really, in the end, if you're going to spend energy, you should do it and have an impact on the field, right?
Right. This might not have been the best use of your energy. I think it was still good for your purpose in this race of trying to reacquaint yourself with where your fitness is and just seeing if you can put some pressure on the field. It was good in that sense, but in the end, all these little tiny matches have an impact on that last lap, what we have left in the tank to finish. So it might not have been the best use of your energy.
Great point.
All right, John, there were times when you did make concerted attacks, though. Let's talk about this one.
Yeah, the race had been like counter attack at this point, like a lot of them, and it had finally slowed down. David wasn't on the front rolling tempo, the rider behind me that followed this move. So I figured, okay, this is like, it finally slowed down. There isn't somebody rolling high speed at the front. I can finally attack. And I was really eager to do this because I felt way fresher than I anticipated. But I think I let that eagerness kind of make me make a poor decision again, because look, everyone's right on me.
Right. And let's talk about, kind of unpack what made that a poor decision. So,
cool.
When an attack isn't successful, it's because everyone's ready for it. If you feel fresh and ready, it's because everyone else is. So I want to point out, there's one rider that turns around and looks over their shoulder, and then there's another. So that should have been your cue and your signal that everyone else is anticipating your attack and they're ready to follow. And then the other problem with a poor timed attack is not being able to create a huge speed differential. So in order to get a ton of speed on those few riders in the front, you probably were better served to start from further back and gain a ton of speed and really catch them off guard. So this wasn't maybe the best setting for either of those things to make this successful.
Yeah, this is another good point with this, Ivy, is that a few riders after the race, I wasn't looking behind me clearly, so I didn't know this, but after the race, I think it was like 5 riders or so were like, yeah, that attack is the thing that ended up breaking the straw that broke the camel's back, and I came detached. But those weren't decisive. Like, those weren't riders that were going to be going for the win anyway. I wasn't really going for the win. I was just trying to stay with the field and have some fun and everything else, but still. And there we go. I get counterattacked right after that because the whole field's right there. And I slowed up so much. Yeah, bad move.
Yeah. So it can be good sometimes to put pressure on the race in efforts of trying to lose other riders. But if you're going to lose them halfway through the race, they probably wouldn't be contesting the win anyways. So good takeaway here is timing your attacks requires a really effective read on the field.
Nice. Solid.
Okay, John, last lap. How are you feeling? What's your plan?
I'm just happy to be here, Ivy. I was surprised. I didn't think that I would be in this spot. And I don't think I was really present because at this point I was just like, wow, last lap. I'll follow Josh, this great racer with the blue pockets next to me, and Jose, the real sprinter, he's got purple pockets, and he's that one right there that you can see on the screen. I just figured, well, they'll be sprinting toward the end for the win, I figured. So I'll just try to stick with them and see where it goes. But I really wasn't even thinking about the finish because I was just shocked that I was there. I wasn't really being present, and I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. And it is kind of an easy trap to see the sprinters that you know will be there on the end and kind of want to just stick on them and get a free ride.
Down to 0 watts on the last lap right there. I could have gained positions.
Right. And even here, 100, 200, that is not last lap power. And so I think the biggest takeaway from this last lap for you is that the race to the finish takes place long before the sprint. So this should have been your moment to race.
Instead of just following wheels, right?
Totally. So this is your moment when there's a big bunch and a reset. This is not fast enough for a last lap. This would have been your opportunity to pass between 6 and 8 riders by going on the left. And you're in the wind on the left a little. You would have used a little more energy, but then you're only sprinting 4 or 5 people at the end versus trying to come around all those people.
That's a good point. It's really easy to fixate on a specific rider rather than focus on accomplishing the bigger goal. And at this point, too, it's interesting because there is one team really here, and they have a lot of riders, but they don't have anybody else up front. I think just one rider, maybe. So it's not like we have a team that's really working together. I should have been just really positioning myself relative to the race rather than the racers. Here it's starting to ramp up. Ooh, this will be good. So it's starting to ramp up. Josh is typically a very fast sprinter, but he's like spinning really quick, and I'm wondering, I think he's blown. I shouldn't have followed him. I'm too far behind. The sprinters are already going. And if you look, I'm catching the sprinters with my sprint. So if I was toward the front, I feel like that bodes well maybe for next time, that I probably could sprint for a win as long as I race heads up.
So just to recap, John, a great takeaway from this last lap for you. You got to race before the sprint. Think of what would have happened if you would have passed all these people in this moment of respite instead of waiting till the sprint.
Yeah, Jose's right there. He was the one that ended up winning. If I would have just been more heads up like Jose was and making sure that I'm positioning myself well, then I probably would have done okay. But hey, good learnings.
Yeah, and that puts you in a spot where you don't have to beat Jose in a sprint if you're 3 positions ahead of him and did that work before the sprint. So that's a valuable lesson.
Nice. Thanks, Ivy. This is great tips.
Yeah. Thanks, John. Good racing.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see more. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to watch the full Air Center Criterium, you can view it on our full race playlist. And finally, if you would have done something different in this race, let us know in the comments.
Yes, give me critiques, give me tips.